started off at a high school, Thornhill High School. Daryl was there as well.
Yeah.
And my neighbor was Alan Franklin, Stretch Franklin, the Franklins, you see. And so his dad would speak to me about what Stretch, whom I knew, and Andre Robbie were doing. And that really got me interested in SAS. That's how it started, yes. And so I was quite good at sport and athletics and all that, you see, in my young days. But I thought I should manage to take on the selection.
All right, Andre. So you went did an SAS recruits course and then selection.
Yes, RLI.
RLI.
Well, first of all, SAS, because I was a corporal in SAS in 74. That's when I joined there, intake 137, if I remember correctly, Hannes. And then I went an officer's course. And then I had to go back to RLI, 3 Commando. And from 3 Commando, I had to go and do another officer selection for SAS. So I went back to SAS then. 8 Troop, I joined 8 Troop under Bob McKenzie.
Andre, tell us a little bit about your time in the RLI. I know you were wounded several times.
RLI was honest, really. It was very hectic, very busy. Lots of punch-ups, Hannes. I was OC 13 Troop, which perhaps was one of the most successful troops in the whole of RLI. We were called the Lovers, you see what I mean? And we had the most kills in 3 Commando. The men were highly motivated. We had lots of contacts. I still remember jumping in sometimes twice a day, into these contacts. Very strenuous. And though it was lots of action, what concerned me about the whole of the scenario was I thought it's just a matter of time before you have to be killed there because of the high exposure you have. I could have been wrong, but I just felt that you can't just carry on like that without being wounded or killed. Yeah.
The SAS, in a way, was a little bit of a relief because you were doing reconnaissance work and you weren't being shot at every day.
Yeah, Hannes, yeah, I have a particular view on that. You see, I know some people think that doing reconnaissance work is highly dangerous. Well, it is. But I was quite comfortable doing reconnaissance work because I had my own company and no one knew I was around. I was very watchful, 360, watching my rear all the time. But when I did ops like Urungwe, where these liberated areas are in Zimbabwe, you had no rest. They were hounding you continuously, you see. And the Russian front was really, really very dangerous because the enemy were always finding you because of the topography, the sandy soil. And you had no rest there. And if they saw you split, so we were 4 men normally, they would send a platoon after you. And you never had any rest at night. I would duck into sandalwood. That's like a kind of hard kind of wood. And that's where I'd try and get some sleep. But the enemy would come and you'd hear them tapping the trees, you see, because they didn't have radios. And I knew they were busy surrounding us. And I had to make an exit between their stock groups. It happened all the time. So we were always tied, always on the move, always leaving spoor. And it was just a matter of time when you hear that ping, and that's their trench mortars, because their platoons were really good with their mortars, trench mortars. They had this rubber base, from a car tire, and you had about 40 seconds to now get out of the sandalwood and make an exit, a wise, calculated exit. You know what I mean? So because I try and remember where I heard the tapping, and I try and get in between them, which I did. Yeah.
Yeah, and map reading was a challenge because it was.
Yes, map reading was always. Yes,
and water.
yes, yes.
And water was an answer.
Water was a challenge. Yes, yes. There were times where we had to drink our own urine.
Andre, I know it's a tough one because you don't really know where to start because you were involved in so many big operations. But tell us a little about your attempt to kill or capture Desai Tongogara, who became the guy, the most wanted man in Rhodesia at one stage. And I know there were several ops mounted to go after him, and you were involved in at least one of them, I think.
Yeah. Well, Hannes, Dave Berry, he was then a sergeant. Myself did 3 op bounces. That's when we jump in to ambush the guy. But there was definitely, even at that stage, a security leak, because they always received intelligence beforehand and they would change their plans. And that really bothered me, that intelligence was coming somewhere from SAS. And the bouncers were very strenuous. For the people that did them, you'd sit kitted up at the airport. What was it called? New Serum, I think, there in Salisbury. And you'd go with, almost within 20 minutes, and then we'd deploy. But we are never successful. But
where you went in with a couple of turned terrorists who were going to take you into where where Tongagara was supposed to be sleeping.
Yes, that one I remember. And that was a flop, because remember, they never came back. And they were Bishop Muzarewa's bunch. And so McCormack, this SB guys that briefed me, said, no, look, these guys are pretty much on side. But I was very suspicious all along, because when I got to the edge of the camp, and it was very important for me to get into the camp, they never came back, Hannes. And that really alarmed me, because the camp was very difficult the tent where they slept was very difficult to pinpoint, because it was so spread out. The vegetation was very sparse. It was like Mapani area, and I could not get in. That's why I sent them in, just to find the camp, and I was going to go in that night. But that never happened, because they never came back. And so I just relayed back and said, look, I'm not happy about going in, because around people there, I wouldn't make it, You can't walk around in this camp, because they slept in tents. They had other leaders there too. And I had to try and find the tents where they were sleeping. And I didn't feel comfortable about that, because I couldn't orientate myself, Hannes, because I couldn't get close enough. The security around those leaders was really, very big.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't get in. Anyway, those guys arrived back later at that tea estate, and I sent McCormack to say, just go and ask them what happened there. And they said they had a big punch up. And so, that's why they came back a few days later. But I wasn't sure about that, because I was right there and I didn't hear any gunshot. So,
Andre, tell us about the attempt to snatch the Russians.
I always thought they were all Russian officers, but some were, I think 5 were East German and the other 5 were Russian officers. So to me, a very, very successful op, because we jumped in, they'd scorched earth the whole area. So we just left heaps and heaps of spoor, fresh spoor. So I just told the men to get themselves into ant bear holes, and we buried our parachutes. And next morning, that night I heard all the vehicles, and there weren't meant to be any vehicles, but we were quite close to like a company sort of base. And next morning, this call sign walked straight towards us on our spur. Baz Jolliffe said to me, they're coming right, they're following us spur, because we had to collect our chutes. And so I thought, well, this is, we'll just take them out and ask for uplift. But they stopped in front of us, and for some reason they just didn't see us, and they moved on. Then I moved on, and I got to their camp, and I went into their camp, into their kitchen, and they were having sadza and chicken. I remember that. And Dave was a bit flustered, because I didn't have any silent weapons, just in case, because they were standing outside the tent, you see, chatting, the kitchen. And so I thought, well, I'm right there, and we might as well set an ambush right next to the camp. It was a very busy camp, lots of vehicles. You see, lots of Frelimo were going in there as well. And so as it transpired, eventually some vehicles came along. And I knew these must be high-ranking officials, because there were security guards on the back, and their lights were on, and just the 2 Land Rovers. But before that, I think one stage we had 12 vehicles passing. That didn't bother me, you see. It was just those 2 vehicles with high-ranking officials. So I said to the guys, well, they weren't really that interested in capturing anyone. They just wanted to, hondo, shoot, kill. And I said, no, we must get these guys, you see.
And capture them, take them back.
Yeah, that was the whole idea. And I'll stand in the road and wave them down, but just cover me thoroughly, which they did. And the vehicles did slow down. But then they recognized that, look, there's something wrong here, and they put foot, and they tried to run me over, and the guys took them out, and there were no survivors in that. It was too quick and too late. Yeah, and then once you've done that, so I was in the camp there, right next to the camp, about from their main booth, about 150 meters off the main road, tarred road. Now we had to get out. You see, it's like a beehive, and so we legged it out there. And we got straight back to our chutes, flat land. So, we managed to get all our equipment, and the choppers took us out again. So I thought that was quite a good op. Yeah.
But you had to fight your way out. They were after you. On your
Yes. Because I was too close to the camp, you see. But why I worked on that was their clearance patrols wouldn't look for us there because we were too close. The clearance patrols normally do a bit of a wider perimeter clearance, not right there in the middle where I was. So it did pay off, yes. But the guys were just phenomenal, because I just said, look, I'll do that, but you guard me, and they did. If it wasn't for them, I don't think I would have got out of that. Mm-hmm. They were pretty good in their shooting, yeah.
Andre, tell us about your the raid on the chopper scanner, on the communication center, on the Byra Road.
Yes, it was quite hard to get there. I walked in 2 days. Daryl was sort of in charge, so they set up a communication base back inland, and I walked in, and we climbed the mountain, and when we got to the top of the mountain, I said to the guys, just do sit back, and I walked to the gate, and there were the security guys.
Tell us how heavily defended it was, and a little bit about the installation.
Oh no, it was company strength. Yes, and there were big guns there, and right at the front gate, just the front gate, besides the barracks, there were 7 people sleeping there. There's a sentry at the boom gate, you see, and so there were a lot of people there. It was company strength, big guns too, because those were the same guns. Because going back after the op, remember I walked on the road and I walked into a mobile, and so those big guns up there started shooting down at us, but they're shooting the mobile, and then the mobile in front of us started returning fire back and shooting their own guys.
Tell us how you actually got into this facility, because it was very.
I was a bit of a sneaky character there. So I went up with Ollie, I think it was Ollie Jewett, and I took one M&R guy with me in case I needed an interpreter. I tried the gates, because just a few meters away was the security guard, and I could see him. And I tried the gates, but they hadn't padlocked, you see. They just tied it with wire. So I undid the wire. They didn't ball point it strong enough, you see, but the chain that they just loosely dangled fell down and hit the frame of the gate. So this guy stirred for a moment, but we had silenced weapons, but he just kept on sleeping. So I opened the gate. I saw the men in front of me, 7 men sleeping right there. So we had to tiptoe over those guys. So I went back and got the rest of the guys. I said to them, look, we're going to walk in there and we're going to tiptoe, and you're not going to kick any of these guys or bump into any of these guys. We've got to get past them to the main office, where the radar station was. And we managed to do that. So we went right in. Once I was in, the security wire was that it was a thick mesh. It wasn't a thin mesh. So I first of all made an exit. I always thought of that first. Let's secure my exit, because I knew I wouldn't be able to go through the front gate. And that was done. That was really hard work, cutting that wire. But we had good wire cutters. And then we set ourselves up, and we attacked the base, the headquarters.
So you went into the actual communications facility with bunker bombs.
Oh, what happened there, Hannes? I positioned the men. Some people had to take out the barracks and the discs. They were all allocated, but I was interested just in the command center, you see, because we had to put out a commission. And but there's a problem. There's a pull box to my left. So I said to Frank Tunney, Frank, look, I'm going to be running across its front, coming back, but you're going to have to take that gunner out. Which he didn't quite successfully do, because the gunner shot him and it shot me in the arm as well. But I went to the door. I just snuck up just quietly. So all the guys were waiting. And I used it was called a knock-knock. You see, so these big oak doors. And I just put in a step to the side. And knocked the doors right off its hinges. It was quite a strong blast. And I had a big bunker bomb. And then I went not too far, about 5 steps down the passage. It's a long corridor. And there at the end, I could see all the radar. It was a dim light, sort of a greenish light. You see what I mean? There they were sitting. And I just, but on the side were rooms as well where soldiers, they were sleeping as well, you see. So I just bowled the bunker bomb all the way down, and it went right into the ops room. You see, it went right in under the desks. And it went off with a tremendous blast. Because of course I'm aware of, Martin Pierce got killed because these blasts can knock over the walls, you see. And so running back, the RPD gunner opened up fire. So he had us at right angles, but we managed to get back and down the hill and get away.
And then onto the road, and then there was more excitement there.
Yeah. With the road issue, Hannes, look, I had to make a calculated decision. That town, about 5 kilometers away, it was Rondo. They had tanks there. And I was told by intelligence, the 2 SB guys, the Scotty McCormack and another guy, they said, look, you must clear yourself from before tanks arrive, because they can arrive there very quickly. So I was really aware of that, you see. And that's part of the reason why I quickly walked on the road. And the road was clear, but it's just right at the T-junction. That's where the mobile was, you see, with the big guns, I think 12.7. And we bumped into them, which was quite a big firefight. I was pinned down for a long, long time there. I thought I was going to die there, yes. And none of us could really move. Some people broke to the right. I broke to the left, and I couldn't get back, you see, because I was just covered in dust, from all the rounds. And eventually there's a bit of a lull, because the guns on top there's 1 or 2 left. They started firing, at the mobile, and that gave us a chance to get away. But we'd just crossed the main road when the tanks did arrive, T-34s. And that was quite a scary experience, just hearing the metallic sounds, the rumble, and it just swerved off the road, you know what I mean, after us. And we just really ran for our lives. Yeah.
Andre, let's if your mind will go back there to the near Cabora Bassa reconnaissance, where Keith Clutie hurt himself, and you had a very tough time there, going in, coming out, and going back again.
Very hard up there, Hannes. Very physical. We lost a lot of weight because we jumped in, found the camp. That was incredible in itself. But Keith broke his neck, and so I thought I'd leave him there with one of the members in the call sign and just go and look at the camp. But I only walked a few hundred meters, and I felt terribly convicted. I knew if you leave him, he's going to die, because where his head had hit the ground, there's a big hole, and blood was just oozing out all over. And he's one of our men. So I had to weigh it up, and so I said, no, I can't do this. You know what I mean? I thought his life was more important than finding the camp, and I knew where the camp was, and it was important for me to find the camp. So I got back to base, and they sent in 2 of the helicopters, and we could hear those helicopters. I could hear them 20 minutes out. The boom, 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 boom. I could hear them coming, and they picked us up, and we went back, and then we were sent back in the following at night, but this time we didn't jump with the big box, because that box disappeared, and we jumped with our Bergens, and once again, right close to the area. In fact, this time I could see the campfires, and it was all okay. Very blustery wind. Roger McDonald nearly broke his leg, I think, because I landed right on the perimeter of the camp, and the guys just kept going, you see. So I was trying to say, hey, here I'm this way, but they couldn't come to me. The wind was too strong.
What time was it? Was a night jump?
Yes. I always liked jumping in between. That was about 3 o'clock in the morning. Right. 2, 3. The first jump was about 2. Anyway, it was compromise. And I know it sounds easy, I presume, but you've got all your equipment, thousands of dollars worth of equipment, all the parachutes and reserves and all that, and helmets. Now I've got to hide that. You know what I mean? I can't carry it with me. I've still got my own pack and all that. And so we found an ant bear hole. Thank God for ant bears. So covered up, with leaves and all that. But it wasn't long after that. Early morning, they were on top of us. And once again, we stood like a beehive's nest there, and they relentlessly chased us. Really, they were really after us, and it was quite scary. So I just decided there, instead of heading back the most obvious direction towards Kuborabasa, it's best we just go back inland, deeper in, which I did. And I think that helped, but we didn't manage to shake them off. There were days. I think that op lasted about 7 days we were on the run, anti-tracking. But there were times where we had lost them, but then their trackers were really good, and they would find our spoor again. And the one guy, we had to cut his throat. I didn't like doing that, but what could we do? The young guy, you see, he's really good. He was running on our spoor with a stick like that. You could see him coming.
They have dogs on it?
No dogs. No, I didn't see any dogs. But that upset them terribly, because right under their nose, one of their guys were killed. And then off we set again. And the danger there was, Hannes, how long could we carry on like that? Because our battery power on the TR-48 was running low, you see. And ComOps had told us that they're even deploying Frelimo to help find us. So we were in quite a desperate situation there. Yes.
And too far for the choppers to get to.
Yes, that's right. Yes, but they picked us up successfully, and I remember I take my one pilot was an American pilot. He just sort of crash landed the helicopter like they do there in Vietnam. You know what I mean? Really, it was amazing, and we just got him. Yeah, so he was good.
Andre, one more story that springs to mind is the Beira raid coming off the strike craft. Again, I think it was after it was after the fuel tanks in Beira. I know you were involved in that. Just talk us through that one, where you went to train and where it started and how you ended up there.
Hannes, that picture you'll see in that contact book, it's there in my bookshelf. The guy with RPG-7 is myself. So what they did with me at Donkergat, there in Cape Town, they trained me for a long time. I specialized just in firing that RPG-7. And I was so good firing that RPG-7 off a Zodiac or anything that from over 100 meters, I'd hit bullseye. Because I had to be accurate, because the fuel depot had very high mesh, you see. So I had to find the gap to get the tank in the right place, because all the guys on either side of me, I can't remember exact detail, but I think it was 1 tracer and 3 armor piercing, you see. That was their configuration on their belts. But I had to pierce the tank, you see. Fuel had to flow for them to ignite all that. Anyway, we did line up, and I did see
the beginning. Andre, you started off from the Cape. We went from Cape Town to Durban, and then from Durban by strike craft.
Yes, that PC aircraft, patrol, it's an Israeli thing, because General Lutz, he's in cahoots with the Israelis as well in intelligence. They had an incredible intelligence setup. So before we deployed there, they were able to tell us, where the Russian ships are, or, how long it'll take for them in the Indian Ocean for them to respond. So Silver Mine was pretty jacked up then. Yeah. But yes, that's right. So we went up the Pungwe River. That's where those sardines came down. We went in diamond formation.
So you got off the strike craft into rubber ducks.
Yes, 4 recce brought.
4 recce guys brought you in.
Yes.
And then they dumped you in the Pungwe estuary there.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there was a big fuel pipe there. So I put a suitcase bomb under that. I was a bit sort of seasick, you see, but anyway, that happened. And then we walked in through this sort of kind of marshland, set ourselves up. I had 5 rockets, and I just positioned everything, because it's dark. And what happened there, Hannes, you never think of these things, but when you fire an RPG-7 at night, behind it you get the fire, the blast, and that blinds you. You see, and then the light, and so I fired those 5 rockets, and all the guys opened, and these big tanks, they just folded like paper packets, and the next minute, the area where we were in these sort of swampy paddies just became daylight. Yeah, because that's how big the flames were. You see, it was like a wall of fire. Yeah, just going. And as the fuel was sucking up the air, it was this huge suction. You could hear it. You see, it was,
I can imagine. Yeah.
we left there.
And then, but you got out all right.
Yeah, that was well planned and well executed. We were called A Troop. I was called A Troop because I mainly took foreigners because I thought they were really, they were really good soldiers and they could shoot well. You see, so we were called A Troop. So they called me Audie Murphy because, I initiated on the Russian front that when we came to contact, which we did many times, the first belt, 50 rounds, they had to fire immediately. Just let it go, you see, because that gave me a chance just to make some tactical decisions to stick my head up, to see what I must do, because they always outnumbered us, you see. So that's why I got the nickname Audie Murphy, you see, because I just like firepower. That gave me a chance to get away. And that's how I survived. It's because often the Freddies would say, they bumped into 20, 30 men, but there was only 4 of us or 6 of us. I just worked out, I thought, let me quickly show. I did about 15 external ops, I tried to remember the names because, look, I'm getting old and I'm forgetting all these names, but there are about 15 I can remember, and there's some I can't remember the names. But if you had to ask me in the interview, Hannes, I came into SS and I really, really just had a close bond with Dave Berry, Koos Lewis, and Daryl. Those were the 3 men that really helped me as a rookie, as a young officer. They helped me. And so that's where my affiliation lies. And that's why I'm so zealous to correct anything that I think is not true about Dave Berry or Daryl Watt. You know what I mean? Because I just feel that these were real fine soldiers. And I don't think, they always got the recognition they did. That's just what I know. That's another matter. So I won't touch on that, but that's what happened.
All right, Andre. Well, listen, man. Okay. Well, thanks very much for your time, Andre. And I know I know people would like to hear more, so maybe we can carry on at another stage. But for now, thanks very much indeed.